Yeah. Are there any communities that this is actively like growing? Like even here, there's half a dozen people, but are there systems like this where there are hundreds of people? Because basically, it's sort of like bartering, I guess. I'll dig your trench, and you fix up my motor, and we got a deal. I'll supply you a dozen eggs, and in return, I'll plant your seedlings, or that sort of thing. Just a bartering system.
Well, one way to view it is this is an extended system of barter or exchange.
Mm.
Barter is just an exchange, but barter is very limited in what can be done. But if you introduce an intermediary, so you know, I'm producing corn. The corn's available and it's going to be available in January, but I need eggs in December, so I can't barter. There's a simple timing issue, but so this extends it. This greatly facilitates free exchange, and a way to describe it is indirect barter. It is barter.
Yeah.
It's a physical good.
But I think everyone in the back of their mind's going to be thinking, okay, I need a trench dug. Who's going to repair my motor? Let's say this is worth a bag of silver, and he thinks that's worth a bag of silver. Then the other guy wants to do a job and it's worth 1.5 bags of silver. Or he does the job, it's a bag of silver, and in the back of their mind they're thinking, hang on, silver was worth $50 last week, now it's worth $80. Am I still getting the fair deal because I'm dealing with the arrangement we had, with silver, but silver's gone up. And I've already given him my bag of silver, and the bag he's going to give me is, in the back of my mind, is worth less because the government tells me it's worth less.
Well, I'm just parking that thought about why is there not more people doing this? But
it would be more the better, but reality.
Well, the more we do it, the more people will join on board. That's the nature of it.
Mm.
But the question was about, okay, basically you're asking me how are prices established in a metallic system?
Well, that's
there's no pricing mechanism.
That's in the hands of the gods, if you like.
I would say it's in the hands of A and B. It's in the hands of Mark and myself. If Mark tells me here's rock melons, and I agree to give him 5 grams of silver, as we have done, that's how prices are established. And then C comes in and says, well, look, I'll give you 6 grams of silver. Mark says, no worries, well, I'll sell them to you now. And now I'm going to offer 6.1 until there reaches a point where the price can't go any higher and Mark's not going to be able to do an exchange.
I get it, right? The plan, but what happens if we say, I want to go on overseas holiday to Europe for 6 months and I need to buy my tickets and I need to
pay land rights,
get money over there or cash or credit card or whatever, then you got to cash in your silver if you want to actually do those sorts of things, because you can't go to travel land and say, honk here, I want a ticket to Italy.
There's a couple of things I can say. I get that comment all the time. That question all the time. I do not have any easy answers. There actually are answers, but I don't have any easy answers. I'm not saying that this can and will immediately replace a dollar-based system. Remember, there was actually a time when if you wanted to go on a holiday, you would pay in gold sovereigns.
Yeah, but you're talking about paper money, but I think most people these days, especially younger ones coming through, they're not so concerned about it. But the ones in our sort of age group knew what it was like to have value for money, or even can remember before it was money. Now it's cash, and now, of course, that's not enough control for the government. Now they want digital currency, digital ID, and they're gonna, if you get caught without one of these walking down the street, they're gonna throw you in jail. So that's the plan of the government. So it seems like, in theory, it's a good way to barter amongst willing people, to keep the playing field level so that no one's getting gypped. You say, oh well, I'll give you an ounce of silver for the job, and in return whenever you do that job, I'll give you an ounce back or whatever.
That's right,
And it doesn't matter about the money value of it.
Yeah.
The money
Well-
value is set aside because within your group, it's just, what is it? Ounce for ounce, let's say. Dollar
Yeah,
for dollar.
yeah. So prices are established without reference to dollars. We don't consider dollars in the analysis.
Yeah, I know, but in the back of your mind, everyone sort of considers dollars because.
That being said, there is a point of contact. If you want to, let's say for example, you were operating a business and you had a regular income. You had, let's say, an ounce of gold coming in every month. By you were buying and selling, exchanging, re-exchanging with people, and you had an ounce of gold. The net profit or margin out of those operations was an ounce of gold. You then go to the open market, to the dollar market, and sell your gold. Get your cash, get your dollar cash, and pay your rates. Right? So there is actually still a point of contact, and there will always be someone who's going to give you dollar cash for your gold. There won't always be someone who's going to give you gold for your dollar cash. But there is a mechanism by which that actually can happen.
So this is like this is a closed system. So if we shut out of their system, we can still get food and just trade amongst ourselves. So it just makes it simpler. Instead of haggling and bartering for an hour, we can just say, to make a fair trade, we can just say, well, this value of silver for that, and 5 minutes, done. It's simple.
What percentage do you think that is possible in today's environment where you've got to be associated with the government, the healthcare, or rates and taxes and all the rest of that, and then within the let's say the outer community or the separate community of silver, you've got that portion. So if you can stay out of the system 50% or 60% and only deal with the government as little as possible, but I don't think it's really possible to remove yourself 100% from the government because they won't let you.
Probably not, but I don't think that we should say to ourselves, oh, something bad could happen, therefore we should fail to do the good.
Oh, yeah, but the government's going to keep forcing on us, The ultimate plan is...
Yes, they will. They will.
We don't matter.
There will always be people of weak character on any given island. We live on an island, it's called planet Earth. There are people there who want to dominate us. And the dominant force is actually government, right? They are people, and they will always be there. But to the extent that we do this is the extent to which we can be free of it.
I think just a comment is, like, Australia is a very difficult country because we're so big and the population is so sparse that even to put up any effort against any sort of government thing you disagree with, how are you going to get everybody to get together and protest, Where like in Europe, you've got 20 million people living in the size of Tasmania or 100 million, and it's easy for them to blockade the whole city and bring it to its knees. But Australia,
Australia
is
blockaded. Australia is blockaded. Fact.
Yeah. I like the principle for sure.
Yeah, but I guess that little discussion, little line we've just followed there, again, just follows into a whole lot of quite a few different conceptual areas. But there are answers, but there are no easy ones. And this is a way that we can do it, that we can be free of that to the extent that we do this, that we engage with our fellow man like this.
You could have local areas like with the fuel going up again, and then travelling to here to barter could be prohibitive, or if I haven't got money for fuel, or I get out of the fuel system, I have to make my own fuel, or horse and cart, it could take days to get here. We could have our own little, like an agency from this concept.
The ultimate goal is not to overpower government, although it is actually conceivable that could happen, but that is not the goal. The goal is to be independent of it.
That's very difficult this day and age, and it's only going to get more difficult. But anyway,
This is what I'm saying. This is what I've come to.
They plan it to be that way.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
And that's part of
that is the
It's
intention.
very hard to escape.
But this is what I've come to realise is that, hey, we actually do have an alternative, but it requires a different thinking. It requires certain knowledge about things and primarily about money. Government power is propagated primarily through money. Money. Yes, they have the bureaucracy. Yes, they have the physical forces, the police and the military, and that legislature. But the power is primarily through money. One question I regularly ask is, well, just an observation. I've travelled fairly extensively. I've seen a number of different countries, but when a dictator overtakes a nation, what is the first thing they do? The very first thing they do is they get control of the money and the currency. Government is inseparable from the central bank, Right. It's the central bank that finances all those other things, empowers those other things. So this is a way of regaining that power. It actually returns power to us.
Well, you know, what would you call it? You know, like it sounds like a great fantasy, but it just seems so unrealistic to be able to achieve. I know we can do it in small community groups and it can work within those little groups, but the government is their plan is to get more and more control over everyone and give them less and less power. That's the whole point. Look at the farmers in Holland and all those people, you know, they're not allowed to even. Soon it's going to be, oh, what's coming next? Bird flu. Oh, sorry, and that you got to kill all your chickens. Oh, sorry, you can't have beehives, they're all dead. Oh, sorry, you can't have any cows, mad cow disease. Well, and the government's doing all those things, and the poor farmer, if he goes to the gate and says, stop, handcuffs, off you go, mate. So, it's a nice thought, and like I say, it can work, you know, in a small amount, but the government isn't gonna tolerate.
Let's go back to the year 1900, just as 1 year. In the year 1900 in Australia, were there dollars? Did we have dollars in Australia?
No,
Was the dollar even a thing?
yeah, everything was based on, you know, gold and silver and metal and what have you. But also, they said, oh, it's too heavy to carry in your pockets, so we'll give you a piece of paper, you give us the gold, and then when you want the gold, you know, we'll give it back to you when you bring a piece of paper back. But then they started realizing, oh, nobody wants to bring the gold, they're happy with the paper, so they just started printing more and more paper and giving it to everyone, and they didn't have any gold, and they said, this is great. No one's coming to collect the gold.
I have come to a different knowledge about what. That is the commonly accepted concept of how it happened, but that is not how it actually happened. I don't think that is how it happened. I know that's not how it happened. I mean, yeah. Let's just park this. What you asked there is very commonly asked or even contested, and there are answers, but there's just not necessarily a straightforward answer. But what you just described is not what actually happened. One of the things that actually happened was we defaulted on our money. That's a completely different proposition. So what was I going to say? But the claim that this cannot happen in large scale is there's simply no evidence for it. Australia, the entire Western Europe, the US, Russia, Africa, and South America were all financed on gold coin and bills of exchange. Imperfect, but it cannot be said that this cannot be done on a large scale. The problem is that a return to that system will not come from government because the the dollar, the money, is the means of propagation of government power. But I must propose a challenge to that concept. Hey, a banknote is actually a depository receipt. They had the gold in the safe and they're just issuing a piece of paper that says, hey, there's gold in the safe. That is not how it actually worked. And we have to understand.
Wasn't it like that once?
No,
The money that the country could borrow from the reserve or whatever central bank had to be based on the amount of gold you had. That's why, like.
Well, yes, and also to the productivity. So let's just park that for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good questions, and we won't be able to address them just in a couple of minutes.
No, that's fine. It's just
because it gets there's a very money. The simple exchange of money is only one small element of money, because money involves borrowing and lending. So
I'm not against it by any means. I encourage everyone to do it, but hypothetically, it's the challenge, because it's just too much government, and it's just going to get more and more. The government's not going to shrink, and can't seem to change it, because once they're in power, they seem to devise the means to stay in power. So it's going to be virtually impossible to shrink.
When it comes down to it, this is the problem that I'm saying, that I'm proposing. Hey, the problem is government has too much power. What can we do about it? This is a way that we can start to take some of that power back.
Yeah.
Go Pauline Hanson.
But there's always going to be a certain amount of
Yeah.
because you can't pay your landmates in silver. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
and
no.
if you don't pay them, they get really pissed off. Believe me. You go over $2 coins and that slows them down.
All I say is, like I said, there are mechanisms by which rates can actually be paid if you have an income in gold and silver, and there are other ways around that in terms of involving. It just gets quite more detailed in terms of the concept that, hey, we could live in a world where even maybe rates don't have to be paid.
I don't think the younger generation is going to be able to do it. You look at them. They pay for every single thing, a cup of coffee on their bloody phone. They've been programmed and taught that that's the way.
It is a problem. It is a problem.
Yeah, but that's it. And to try and deprogram the younger generation.
Well, I think that a way to do it is to educate, is to offer information freely, which is part of what today's about. I'm saying, hey, look, this is what I've come to discover. I'm looking for people who are open to these ideas and would like to engage with me on this basis. The other thing is to do.
A lot of Gen Z are waking up, but their attention spans are all very short, so you need to have a little grab at saying what you want to say in a nutshell, and to put it real simple, basically, if you haven't got money, you can go to the food and get some silver, and then when the government's not giving you money, you can still have food.
But I would say the concept of the principles that are involved of being governed are not related to age, race, religion, background, geographical location, or anything else. They are related to your philosophy and your moral values, right?
Yeah, I think these days too, a lot of people, they'll say, oh, silver, everyone's talking about silver. I'll go and buy $1,000 of silver because it's going to go up, and then I'll have $2,000. So they buy the silver and they put it in the drawer, and then next minute it's gone down, and they say, oh, I can't sell it now, I'm going to lose money, so I just keep it there, leave it there, and wait till it gets worth more, and then they keep it there and keep it there and keep it there.
Yeah.
Like the principle you're talking about, instead of keeping this stupid silver in the drawer, you know, melt it down, put it in little bits, and start using it
Yeah.
as a system, and
Yes.
start to just use it
Well,
and see what happens. Instead of just sitting there hoping it's going to go up in price, and then when you go to sell it, they say, "Oh, sorry, we're going to give tax," and it takes share, and you end up
Well-
worse than ever, and you haven't accomplished
Well-
anything with your sort of.
if we want to be free, we must also set our neighbour free. We must first offer that freedom to somebody else. The way that government works is, hey, I'm going to dominate you, and that person will dominate you in exchange. What we want to do is get away from that and say, hey, look, I'll set you free. I'll make you a voluntary offer of cooperation with you, so that that person can then be free to. So the way to do it is to offer that by doing. And I don't offer any easy answers. I'm not saying it is easy. It's actually quite difficult. But that is a way that it can be done.
Yeah, well, that's right. If everyone, sitting around here has that understanding of how the system could work, possibly work, and they go around and tell another half a dozen people, hey, I need a concrete slab poured under my veranda. And said, oh, geez, that's going to cost $5,000. So, okay, well, I can, like I say, fix up your broken down trailer and I can weld up the frame for something. But there's a discrepancy in value in your eyes. And he said, all right, and I'll give you an ounce of silver. And if he can say, oh yeah, Joe down the road, he's in the silver business too, and Smithy and Jono, then the more people are in there, then the more likelihood there is to it working, to it being useful.
That's right.
So that's the key, is to get lots of people on board and
Have lots of talents and lots of ways of trading.
I would say, in terms of why hasn't it exploded and why isn't everybody doing it? Firstly, ignorance. People are not aware, do not know the nature of money and the nature of political power and the intertwinement of those things. They're not aware of the alternatives, right? That this is actually possible. And the second thing is that they accept the dollar, they accept the domination of government by way of the dollar as a normal. They've inculcated that into their moral values. I've spoken to literally hundreds of people about this already. And the number of people who get it is very small. So that's why I say you guys are actually an elite group.
Yeah, I think ignorance is, like, say, probably the first one, because they don't know that the opportunity is there to get out of the system. But also these days, like even everything, food, you name it, it's convenience. You go down the street and you buy you buy whatever you want, jam and jar, you buy baby food in the pouch, you don't have to make it, you can buy whatever you want on the shelf. In America it's worse, every single thing is packaged in a ready meal format. It's convenience foods, convenience money, even money's too difficult. Let's put on a card, oh that's too difficult, let's just zap it with the phone, oh, that's too hard, let's put a chip in your hand, convenience, and you know what they say, they say curiosity killed the cat, but it's complacency that killed the cat. And
people are complacent.
Yeah.
They're apathetic and ignorant.
Yeah. So something to think about anyway.
They can also be knowledgeable. They can also be engaged and caring and cooperative.
Anyway, how much do you want for all that silver?
All right. What's the time now?
You've been going
I'll
56
just look
minutes.
at my watch.
Yeah, well, that's enough. But there was going to be a question and answer session, so I'd say the question and answer session is pretty well done. Did you guys have any questions? Or any issues you wanted to raise? Eh?
I'm all for it.
Yep.
Yeah, I've actually looked into it before and found there was hardly anyone doing it. So the closest I come to was Armstrong.
Yeah.
As in Australia, I couldn't find anyone.
Yeah.
How's the best way to get it out there, to get the word of mouth, or to get the knowledge to people? Like we can all go around and sit around with half a dozen mates and try and explain it to them and say, look guys, you've got to get some silver and start mucking around with it and trading and see if we can work out which is the best way to barter.
Well, I have a proposition. And we've done this to a limited extent so far, and the more we do this, the better off we can be. I propose that we write bills with each other. So, same thing. Mark and I make an agreement. Mark's going to go and produce rock melons this season. I say, yep, go and produce them. When they're ready, I'll give you this amount of silver for them. We write it down to make a bill. We then get that bill, we then publish it. We make it available to Rob, to Eric and Kino, and say, would you like to buy this bill? Would you like some rock melons? And we start exchanging those bills with each other. So first we write bills, then we exchange bills, but we also need a mechanism by which that can actually happen. Now, I wanted to talk to people about that. What I propose is that if people, we need two things from people. We need you to know from you what can you produce, and also what are you willing to buy. What can you produce? What are you willing to buy? Offer what you can produce up to the rest of us, so that we can make arrangements and we can write bills, witnessed by one other member of the group. And if you want to buy something, make that available. Like, I like corn, I'll buy corn. Or I actually want to buy potatoes, if people want to produce them. So, you know, we actually create a marketplace amongst ourselves where we can actually start doing it by way of bills. And I wanted to put the question out, well, how would you like that to happen? Because I've started up a second online group on Facebook specifically for bids and offers. It's just been very poorly frequented, but that would be one way that we could communicate these things going forward. The second thing is we could do email, we could do SMS, or we could just do word of mouth. But what do you guys think? How could we propagate this?
Well, I think it depends on, like, seasonality is the first thing, because everyone wants firewood.
Yeah.
So if anyone's got a firewood forest, you can have access to it, or you can come and chop your own wood for X amount. That's something that would be very popularly traded at this time of the year.
Yep.
And summertime, well, everyone wants
Strawberries,
beer.
yes.
Salad. Yeah, well, I don't know. What fruit, those sorts of things. But I think it's just a matter of if you've got that Facebook group or online group, whatever it is, then you've got everyone's details. We look into it and talk to people and share it on our own things. But then, this day and age, that seems to be the way that you can get. I know a few guys who are probably keen. I don't know what they can offer, but I know a few guys who can offer things. So I think it's not going to explode through the roof, but I don't think. But
Well, I can guarantee you that it won't explode through the roof because of the fact that it hasn't so far. But we do have. What I'm saying is between ourselves, mainly, but we can extend that, and I encourage people to go and talk to others about it and see if we can get others involved. But the primary thing is amongst the people in this room, for starters, how can would you like to write bills today? I mean, I can make it. You've got, but okay, so we're okay with the Facebook group, because if that's the case. There's a separate. Are we okay with that? Are you on Facebook, Rob? You're okay with using Facebook?
For now.
yeah, a lot of people on and off.
Well, yeah, for now is actually a good comment. What about yourself, Eric?
Yeah, I want to get off because they're going to lock me up very soon. My political comments.
Yeah, I know, that's the worry.
But also little flags in my name. I've just got a question or two, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Must commend you on your efforts. You've been doing this for a while, and well done. Congratulations. Somebody needs to think about something, because the doors are going that behind us very soon.
Yeah.
And if not, on top of us as well. So we're in a big wagon. If they get this digital stuff through, because what you're saying about money is true. But the thing about money, it provides access and participation. That's what it does. It provides access to governments and markets to things. But if they take that away and they're going to offer us all a universal basic income, then money is also not going to play a role anymore. Because they're going to give you a certain amount of coupons every month. You know, the dog bean biscuits are over, yes, it's over. So I mean, that's my one concern. Yeah, who's going to be buying my silver from me if there's no more money available? They can't trade me with the universal basic income coupons or whatever. I just take it a step further. That's a bit of a concern to me how that's going to work. And then there's little practical things. Who says the value of the silver? What quality silver? Who's going to weigh it? How
We
are we
do.
going to know? What are we going to use?
We do.
Spot. Yeah. Are we going
We
to
do.
use spot price at a certain time of the day on a certain market? How are you going to determine what the purchasing value is?
We do.
Just as somebody.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, but based on what?
Based on the value of the silver.
Okay.
The weight of the
Okay,
silver.
here's also by bids,
Yeah.
a process of bids and offers in the market, we discover what prices will be. The other thing is to think about it in terms of two other ways. Think about it in terms of if you're just doing a basic barter exchange, let's say you're doing fish for potatoes.
Yeah.
How are values determined in a barter exchange?
I would think you look at the current market prices. That's my personal feeling. But I hear you want to barter. There's advantage and there's disadvantage.
That's what I'm saying. We know that the price of rock melons is 4 rock melons for 10 grams, or the price of a dozen eggs is 4 grams.
Yeah.
And we make that known to people. Hey, we've done that, we make that public. That price is actually public. Then other people can come in and make either a higher bid or a lower bid to be able to determine a new price and discover what that price will be, which will quickly fall into a narrow band. So
you have to go on demand.
yes, and supply.
Demand and supply.
Yeah.
So
But the other way to look at it is if you want to advertise a price to someone, oh look, you give me so much amount of silver for this. Okay, what would you be willing to pay in return if somebody else was offering that to you in silver? So that's another way of actually looking at it. If I'm gonna produce some corn and someone's offering me X amount of silver for it, would I buy my corn for that price in silver?
Well, that's what I
Because it's a two-way exchange. It's not just, hey, I'm going to sell you my corn and get all the gold in the world and keep it for myself. It's actually two-way.
If someone, because we play around with opals, you know, and if someone came to me with an opal and said, "Oh, what do you think this opal's worth?" I go, look at that, looking. Oh, yeah. I said, "Oh, it depends. Am I buying it or selling it?" You know, if you want a price on this opal, that's the question, you know.
Well, yeah.
Two different prices if I'm selling it or if I'm buying it. If I'm buying it, so that's $1,000. If I'm
But it's
selling
only
it, that's
decided by
$3,000.
negotiation between you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
I know, but that's the thing. Opal's a funny thing, but silver's
Well, it's
a
no
funny
different.
thing too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's only worth as much as you need it. You know, if you need the fuel, then your potatoes have suddenly gone up in value. You know, if you really need potatoes, well, your fuel's gone up in value, or like you say, supply and demand. And, you know, it's
well,
sort of-
yes.
Oh, right.
And the factors that go into that are factors that we control, or to a large extent are able to control. Not all of them, but they are not created by someone else. When you can compare that to the process of price formation in the dollar system, you've now introduced someone else who is going to say, well, look, I can completely influence your whole bloody pricing structure through your whole chain of supply and ultimately determine what the price is going to be. I can drive prices up through interest rates. I can drive them down through interest rates. I can make them gyrate wildly. So, yes, the short answer is it's a process of negotiation based on a subjective assessment of value.
So when there's a discrepancy in the value of the goods, then the balance has to be in silver. Then you need to have a standard rate for silver that everyone's sort of agreeable to, and the group has to establish that. Or what would you do?
It's
say a monthly
negotiated between
average
each
of the-
individual
We-
with
we
each
estab-
transaction.
We established, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but you don't want to have to. You'd want some sort of guide as to some sort of median price of the value of silver
No,
throughout the group.
no. This is, we
Just-
open it up to the free market.
Just
Between
whatever,
ourselves.
how much you want.
Prices must be established by voluntary, by voluntary, a voluntary process. What will people freely offer up?
Yeah, so if someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I want my trailer welded up," and they say, "I can offer you a dozen whiting fillets," I say, "Well, shit, man, it's worth 5 times that." Then they say, "Well, I'll give you an ounce of silver as well," and it's up to me. I can say yes or no, or make it 2 ounces. We've got a deal.
Yeah, and that's the key aspect of it. You have the ability to say no.
And at the moment, the discrepancy of the value is cash or somebody else. So you can say, look, I can give you a dozen whiting fillets, but Mike
Kingsley.
Mike Kingsley can, he can drop off that freaking thing to Tommy Bay for you, or whatever it is, So if you're within the group, Steve-O's got plenty of firewood. He's in on it. Steve-O'll chuck in a ton of firewood. I'll get a couple of dozen fillets off of him and do that, and then I'll fix your motor. And then in return, Eric wants, and that's something else. Steve wants something from Eric, so it's just a bigger coordinated bartering scheme with silver as the balance.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
silver is the
if I go out to
yeah.
try and explain
Or
this to
gold.
my mates,
Or
I've got
gold.
to come up with a pretty simple way. So, I want things done. They want favours done. Might not be able to return the favour for 3 months or 6 months, and it's unfair. But we're going to agree. I'll give you a bit of silver, and then Eric's going to give you some jobs, and it's all balance of silver and
But-
bartering.
Basically, what you've described to me then is what I'm attempting to describe to these guys, which is, it's done voluntarily. It's done by bid and offer. We decide and control what that process is, but also we issue credit. We do it by way of bills, which are commitments to produce, and that's it.
Yeah, well, in the old days, it used to be a handshake,
Yep, on your word.
And so, if
Well,
you can't, if you're,
I actually,
or else
this
you're
is
just going to
something.
sort of recreate what's happened in the past.
Well, this is actually something we can discuss now, because I'll show you an example of a bill that we wrote, well, a little while back now, but this is a bill, right? So, it's a witness's agreement to exchange goods as follows. My corn cobs, fresh unhusked, 10 per month for 5 months from January 2025. And Kingsley's 50 grams of silver in epic format. So that's silver. On or before a date in May 2025. So that is currency. But my question to you guys is, would you like to do it on a handshake, or would you like to do it with a written thing that can be exchanged? I might be overcomplicating it by doing this. I don't think I am. It's something I understand.
It's good
But
to have something in paper in case you get
but
forgetful.
at its most basic level, what Mark said is actually right. It's a handshake. Hey, I'll do this, you do that. You owe me this, I owe you that. Yeah, seriously, it is. So, that's
Well,
basically
that's
what-
how it used to be done, and if you can't do it on a handshake, of course.
You can't much nowadays, you've got to get the lawyer.
Yeah, I know. Like you go and buy a car of your first mate, of course you're going to get him to sign something to say you own it, because even if you pay with silver or 10 loads of filling or whatever, you need some proof that it's happened. So you need basically a receipt.
You have very well described the nature of credit in what you just said. Very well described it.
So that's I think that's a lot of philosophy or something, an ideal that everyone would like to live with,
The
but
beauty,
it's too difficult to find the people at the time with the
Well,
resources and everything.
what I propose, well, yes, there's no reason why people can't do things on a handshake, and that's fine and good. But if we want to extend, let's say even within this group, I think it would be better if we could actually have something like this where we do have a written agreement. If you do make a bid or an offer and you might come to an agreement, be accountable for it by having one other member of the group come and witness the agreement and then bring it up onto the website so that somebody else can make a bid on it. Right? So it can extend the exchange.
And that's the thing.
So the handshake is good for a limited group, but for a larger group, which we want to build, I think we have to have some sort of format like that. Because Mark may not know the guy 3 miles down the road. And, you know, it allows for a much wider range of exchange.
Well, that's what all sort of relies on, is expanding the group, you know, the volume of the group, the participants, and you know, some people might have a heap of pumpkins and rock melons and strawberries, and I'm not interested in that. I'll fix you the trailer, but I just want the silver.
Yep, that's right.
So, you know, I'll do the job for X amount of silver, and then next time if I want some rock melons and strawberries, I'll give him some silver.
Maybe, but I would also point out the reason we do it on handshakes and commitments is going back to the island example. If we don't do that, the goods will not come into existence. Nobody produces things and brings them to the market in the hope that they will sell. What they do is produce knowing that it is sure to be exchanged. That's what that agreement actually is. So that's why it's the pre-agreement to produce. You're not saying, hey, look, I've got some corn here I've produced, would you like to give me some silver for it? It's, hey, I've got a garden here, and that's my offer to you guys. I've got a garden. I can produce whatever you want. Would you like me to produce something for you, which you will then exchange with me?
So we have to like establish some sort of ledger where here's, you know, Jim Bob, this is the list of things he can offer. This is the list of things I can offer. I don't grow vegetables and potatoes, so count me out of that category. But I offer this and that, and
Yeah.
everybody's got what they can offer. And
I think that would actually be a really good starting point, that we actually use the Facebook portal. It's a second portal that's been set up on Facebook to enable bids and offers. I control who goes in and out of that, so we know who's actually in there. We can trust the other people in there. We know who's actually in there, and we can do this for now, confidentially. So, all right, well, we've got an agreement. We'll run with Facebook.